It's the
We are live.
Everything's cutting up.
Good evening, everybody. What is going on? I got M from Level 1 Games and Randy from Backsportspage. How about we get this show started? Why don't we? Already stumbled on my words. Let's go. Good evening, gentlemen. How are you guys doing?
All right. We're good.
So this is, I'm kind of thankful it's Wednesday. Wednesday always feels like a holiday. This is the fourth show of the Deep Six Pro Wrestling podcast in 5 days.
Wow, aren't you tired?
I'm actually honestly a little tired. We did the prediction show of Backlash on Saturday, the post show of Backlash on Sunday, and then the post show of Raw on Monday. And Monday being the late night, we usually get done around 12:15, 12:30.
See, but this is the best
now
one.
We got tonight
because we're the main event. This is the main event. Main event right here, baby. We're the main event.
Pretty much. This is our midweek matchup. Thank you guys for hopping on. For those of you who are viewing us tonight and are about to listen, we appreciate you. So let's get this show started. Really quick, we're going to talk about a couple things very fast before we get into the AEW Dynamite. So first things first, news coming from WrestleZone.com. That's just where I found out the news. Evolve potentially closing down and selling their library to WWE. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's a mistake. I mean, I get it, but WWE they're taking advantage of it right now, and I don't blame them as a company. But it sucks to see a company close, especially during COVID, and we're just starting to get out of it. So it hurts me as a wrestling fan to see another company go down. I hope this isn't the first of many, and I cross my fingers that I really don't want that to be a thing where everybody's closing down, and the only way we're going to see it is on the network, because I don't have the network anymore. So I don't want that to be a thing. But it's scary when you really think about it. I mean, if they're closing down, how many other places are wondering or considering closing down as well?
I have a different view of it, and I think it's I look at the Ring of Honor type of situation with Evolve, where if you sold your library, not sold your library, or gave WWE the rights to it, where you can air your programming and even air your current shows, it may not be a bad thing to have it there, because you have a direct target audience where your shows can be aired live, and you can catch people up on the history of your promotion. And if they're still going to run live shows, as long as it's not under the WWE banner, but you're doing stuff with your library with them, like Impact started doing a little bit. Impact started using, WWE started using Impact's library a little bit. I don't have too much of an issue with it. And if they're selling them the library and they're still going to run live shows, look, you're getting a whole set of eyes that may have never even knew that you existed because of the WWE platform. It's not the worst thing in the world. Do I think it's a good thing for the business? Look, you don't want to have one company monopolize everything. That's what we had in 2001 during the ECW, WCW folding situation. I think it was a bad time for the business. The business is starting to look healthy now with AEW, with WWE, even Ring of Honor. Impact is solidly coming back and looking very good. So do I think it's a terrible thing? If it's done the right way from Evolve's standpoint, where they're still be able to have, which are not handcuffed by the WWE, and that's like Evolve's not being swallowed up by WWE. If they still have their own identity, but their footage is on the WWE network, I think it could be okay.
I mean, but what are they? Are they closing down for good? Because
that's what's exactly what is looking like. Evolve would be closing down for good.
And then you just said the video library,
and then WWE would be getting the video library.
He said they're closing, and that's what I said. I said it's a terrible thing that they're closing. You ignored the whole part about the closing.
Well, because you say a lot of things, I just stopped listening to you.
I know you don't. I could see that.
4:45 M. 4:45.
It took me that long, huh? No, it's terrible. I don't want to see any of these promotions. Like I say this on a weekly basis. This is one of the best times to be a wrestling fan, and I don't want the virus to be a reason why everybody starts going out of business, and a lot of these workers don't have a place to perform and get paid at. So I love having all these places. The choices that we have nowadays dwarf the choices we had when we were growing up. So I don't want to see that dry up. So I see this as a disaster. The fact that WWE will have the library for fans of Evolve, that's great. But Evolve will be no more. That's how I read it.
And this is something a little bit similar to the Paul Heyman ECW situation, because what's going to happen is WWE would buy Evolve, and Gabe Sabalski, whatever his name is, Gabe would be coming over with WWE, and then finally working full time. As you guys know, the Evolve system has been a major feeding
like a feeder
system to NXT. Riddle, Thatcher, Shotzi Blackheart, Adam Cole was down in Evolve for a while. Pretty much all of NXT that you see right now was in Evolve.
Yeah, so remember how this worked out with Paul Heyman? It's the same thing, and it will work out exactly like that. So
I want to just throw one little tidbit in there too, is like, you made a comment that you don't want to see these companies go out of business. We're going to know in the next 2 to 3 weeks on how the wrestling business is going to be able to rebound with live crowds. I know WWE experimented bringing some fans back in.
Yeah, good job with that.
That worked out real well.
We'll talk about that in a moment, I'm sure, right, Wayne?
Oh, we're going into it right now, really quick.
Good,
yeah. Wayne's going to be at the next taping for over at the
I'm like this, waiting.
I'll be taking tons of vitamin emergency. Be down it the whole time.
I'm just saying, though, we're going to get an idea now of what it's going to look like and how healthy the business really is from a live event standpoint, especially when AEW starts touring again for their for Dynamite, and when WWE starts going on live events, and we're going to start seeing if it's going to be healthy enough to get wrestlers who were let go to some of their jobs back as well.
See, but the problem is that I don't think this is still too early. We're just starting to emerge out of this pandemic, and it's not over. We have no vaccine. So this isn't a picture of what the future holds. The future will be much different, and hopefully you'll see fans enter. Recently, we opened our store in Pompton Plains, Level 1 Games. Everybody keeps asking us, hey, when are you going to do events? Because we do a lot of like Magic events and Pokemon events. It's the same thing. I'm not going to start letting people in. We just opened, man. It's too early to sit there and allow people to play in store and potentially get each other sick. It's the same thing with wrestling. We're just starting to emerge. There's still, what is it, about 24 states that are spiking right now? Yeah. We're not out of this. We're still dealing with it. This isn't over. Some states are doing well, some states are not doing well. So this was not the time to go, you know what? Let's let fans in the door. This is a great idea, especially if your state, if the state that you are in is spiking. I just don't understand it. But
apparently, New York has been the best. The numbers have been consistently going down. The deaths are almost near to zero. Thank God. New cases was about in the 20s, to my understanding. As I was watching the video of Cuomo yesterday, so New York is doing it right. Apparently, something's working. The numbers are going down consistently every single day. But, now that puts New York in a position where, we may slow down our process. I'm not too sure exactly what's going to happen. They may not even allow fans in the arenas at all this year, especially with the coronavirus spike going on around the country.
And that's what I see. It's like that's a very big possibility. So was it too early to start letting people in? Of course it's too early. I mean, we're just starting to come out. People are still contracting it. We don't have a vaccine. We don't have medicine to help us get through it. We're just finding like maybe this medicine can help 0.5% of the population survive it. Now is not the time to say, hey, you know what? Sign this waiver and come in, but don't sue me if you get the virus. Why are you doing this? It makes no sense.
I think that we are like Emma says. I'm agreeing with Em. Holy cow. I think we are jumping the gun way too early to have fans in the arena, not just with pro wrestling, but I think with any sports. It's going to be very interesting with not only with pro wrestling, which we've been lucky enough to still have, if you're a WWE fan, to still have new content for Raw and SmackDown and NXT every single week. AEW having new content every single week. We've been lucky because if you've been a fan of Major League Baseball or the NBA or in the NHL, you've been on hold. So getting these things back and then just getting the product back is one thing, but then getting the fans through the doors would be something totally different. And I think it's too soon. I think you have to wait at least another 3 to 4 to 5 months before we can even discuss bringing fans back into the stadiums.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, what's happening now is that with all these protests going on, these mass gatherings, and it's not a knock against that. Certainly not. Your voices should be heard, absolutely. But when we're in the middle of a pandemic, it's not necessarily the wisest thing right now to be gathering in thousands. You don't know who's carrying what. The masks are not 100% safe. They help, but they're not a guarantee to prevent this spread. You got people all up on each other's business within not just 6 feet, much less than that, probably within inches of each other, marching the streets. And no wonder why we see a pandemic of coronavirus spiking all over the place in many states, coincidentally at the same time as all the protests that have been taking place. And I hope to God it doesn't happen in New York. And so far it's quiet. But, people just need to be a little wise and proceed with caution. There's nothing wrong with your voice, being heard. And I'm a full proponent of that. But when it comes to a pandemic like this is the results of what we're now seeing of, being reckless and thinking that it's, everything, we're out of the woods. No, we're not out of the woods.
But it's not just the protests. It's also the places that were opening immediately.
You're right. A couple states opened up a little earlier.
We don't care. Come, economy is more important. And don't get me wrong, as a business owner, I do agree. The economy is important. I love being open, but let's be realistic, man. These guys just flung open the doors and didn't really plan. And so a lot of these places that are spiking, like Florida, 18.5 million paid to make wrestling essential. Those were the dealings that were being done. That's where people get exposed. Now you're saying, oh, like we can let people in the door. This is what you get. This is the same thing. I think they're planning on opening Disneyland. I think next month.
Yeah, that might slow down a little bit.
Yeah. Go ahead, Randy. I'm so sorry.
I would say tonight was the first night that me and my family went out for we did outside dining. We went to a restaurant. We went outside dining. And when we got there, they had us. They took our temperature when we got there, and we had to give them our names and everything else like that. We had to wear masks,
contact tracers.
Yeah, so we had to wear our masks. And then they said, okay, we're us as servers and bartenders, everything that we have to wear our masks, but since you're dining outside, you don't have to wear them. We're like, okay, and all the tables were set up and we had a meal. It was nice to be having a meal outside of the house again. And it was like, actually, I'm not gonna lie to you, it was really weird not eating at home. You know what I mean? It was like, or eating in the back of a car or something like that. Being able to sit at a table and actually go to dinner, it was nice for once. But this is the state of the world that we're in, and the problem is, I think, as a society, we've grown impatient, and that's the one thing I think that's the one word that everybody has to sort of grasp is patience. If everyone is patient, we will get back to some sort of semblance of normal. And you guys know my better half. She works in the medical field. It's going to take time. There's the first set of vaccine. They're rushing it out.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be effective.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're cutting every corner to get it on market, but we don't know if it's actually going to work.
Right, and that to me is the most important thing. And like, I don't want to make this a depressing message because this is fun. I know. Listen, I got messages through Facebook saying Emma's going to go heel on us. I'd rather him go heel on me on wrestling instead of life lessons, because at this point in time, like, one of the beautiful things about what we do with not only over at Backsportspage, and Emma does at Level 1 Games, and Wayne's been able to develop with Deep Six, the Deep Six podcast, is being able to make this a distraction for everybody. And I think that's what the most important thing is. We're all wrestling fans. We all want to get back into the arena. We all want to watch blood and guts. We all want to be able to see everything. But as radio hosts and doing these podcasts, our job is to make sure you guys are as entertained as possible, and also us being informative to you guys too. And I can't speak for Em or Wayne, but the one thing that I've been able to learn from all this is being a wrestling fan is being able to appreciate the product which you have in front of you. Now, the AEW has been very, 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 very good throughout this whole entire pandemic. Even some of their tough shows to watch, still the wrestling action was very, very good. I'm not a Raw and SmackDown fan that much anymore. I haven't watched much NXT. I know you guys have both been watching AEW with me. Wayne, you watch more WWE than I have. Em is a New Japan fanatic, and he watches.
And they just came back.
Yeah, and so they're on their way back too. And I'm just redeveloping Impact, and I started watching a little NWA Power myself. And I also watched Be the Elite as well, by the way. I watched that and that was just absolutely hysterical this week.
I haven't seen it. Don't tell me.
I was on the floor laughing.
I've been busy.
With that being said, those of you who watch us every single week, I think I speak for all three of us. Thank you for watching us and listening to our opinions about the AEW product. We want to make sure we can help for the hour long that we do this. Make sure that you are as entertained as possible, and make you want to come back the following week.
And I know you want to see me go heel on Randy, especially Randy. Always Randy. He's my target. So you guys got it. I will do my best. I won't let you down.
That's not nice.
That's
not nice. I did nothing wrong. I'm just a sweet, innocent boy.
Having said that, let's get right into it. We just got done watching AEW Dynamite about 40 minutes ago. And not the best show, not the worst. Kind of falls right in the middle. It was decent. Couple minutes, to be expected with a couple of in-between shows, in between pay-per-views. We got Fighter Fest coming along in 2 weeks, so they're still building to that. I would expect next week to be better, and then a week after, the go-home show. No, actually, we have one more Wednesday, don't we? Today's the 17th, the 20th. Yeah, I think we have one more Wednesday, so next week would be the go-home show for AEW Dynamite.
That's right, yeah.
For Fighter Fest. So I'm expecting a great show next week. Today was decent, so let's get right into it. The show starts right away with the AEW Tag Team Title match. We obviously knew what the results were going to be on this, but we got a pretty good match. We had QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes, the dubbed as the Natural Nightmares, versus Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. It was pretty cool because we just talked about it a couple moments ago. I thought it was pretty funny how we had Britt Baker. They cut to her passing notes through the pulley to Tony Schiavone a couple times. First off, it was commenting on our tie, and then later on, talking about Aubrey Edwards, how she should not even have a job. Why is she fired? It's a conspiracy. So we thought that was pretty good for character development. We'll get to that a little later on. Then we see Omega and Hangman retain the tag titles, which we expected. Kenny Omega gets the pinfall win on QT following the last call. What did you guys think of this tag team title match? QT looked very good, by the way.
Yeah, he does, but he always looks good. I mean, for a guy his size to do all those flips, and I forgot who it was. They said Every time they come in early, he's over there practicing flips. And he's like I said, he's a big dude to be doing that, and I'm always impressed to see him. It may not look perfect, it may not look flawless, but I mean, again, it's a big dude doing flips. I am 5'8", and I can barely walk straight, so I was impressed by that. The match was good. It was hard hitting. My dude is always there, teasing me with that heel turn. I know it's coming. But the match was good, and I still don't see where they're going to go with the alley thing, because we got that at the end. But one thing, like you mentioned, the fact that they're keeping Britt Baker, and I don't care what anyone says, we're big fans of Britt Baker.
Big fans.
She's good, man, and she's grown so much, and she's there hurt. And they're keeping her presence alive, so that means that they have big plans for her, and I'm glad. I personally think she deserves it. She's been working hard, you can tell. I hope she gets better, and she's all good for All Out. But
I mean, we found her in the dumps later on in the show. We see Swell take her out and kidnap her not too long after the first or second match of the night, and we later find her. The camera cuts to the dumpster. She's in a dumpster, and
what was it?
Reba
brought the camera crew to see her rescue, and
I think she had like the Find My Phone app on her phone to help track Britt Baker, and then led her to the dumpster.
That was great. I had a lot of fun watching that. Like I said, the stuff with Britt Baker, I like it. It tickles me because she's just such a jerk. And poor Reba. Is it Reba or Reba? I can't.
I think she said Reba.
Yeah, but she calls her Reba. I think the girl's name is Reba.
Okay.
If I'm correct. Like I said, I can't get enough of this new Britt Baker. It's so much better than, hey, I'm just a dentist. I'm glad that she's doing it. And I have a lot of fun with it. But the match that we're discussing, it was very good. And the outcome, like you said, we all expected it. But it was nice. It was physical. And to see Dustin wrestle the way he wrestles now, he's definitely left that whole Goldust gimmick behind, and he's just a wrestler there, man. And
I thought he was supposed to be retired.
Yeah, he was like, I'm gonna retire, and just AEW does that, man. It brings out the passion. People.
He looks great.
Yeah, he does. He looks amazing. Randy, what do you think?
As far as the match is concerned, it was exactly what we thought it was going to be. Look, the stuff with Allie, I texted you guys what I thought. It was, I don't like her.
There's still no on-air explanation of why she is not with Butcher and the Blade right now.
Yeah, I think they're usually good with tying up loose ends, but they're not tying this loose end up. And I liked her in that role better. But I still think that the Butcher and the Blade were left for dead the minute Cody and Darby Allin beat them.
Yeah,
and so Allie, I think Allie does. Allie's they're gonna do something with her. She's too talented not to. I think she's just too talented not to be involved with something. As far as the actual match is concerned, look, we all know what this is building towards. Okay, so Dustin and QT. That's going to blow up eventually. That will blow up eventually. And the Kenny I felt like this week we sort of took the week off from the Kenny Adam Page drama show, and it was just tag team wrestling for them, business as usual. And it was a good match. And the one thing I can tell you about Britt Baker also, and I can't state this enough, it says something this is a negative point. It says something to you about the women's division right now when your most over female is the one who can't wrestle and is getting the most TV time every single week, because not even Shida, who's the women's champion, is getting that TV time right now.
Well, listen.
I wouldn't put it that way, but
you have somebody like The Rock.
It's the truth.
You have somebody like The Rock, who wasn't even the best wrestler at the time, and he got over how? He got over by his mic skills, his talking, his image, the way he carried himself in and out of the no, I won't say in because I felt like he got better as like 99 and 2000 rolled around.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But somebody got The Rock. It was all mic skills and the way he was presenting himself. So now I'm not saying Brick is no Rock,
but you're missing my point.
Means, but she's doing it good because of her presentation.
No, he's trying to crap on the women's division because their biggest star is the one that's hurt, and they're not really showing anyone else. But I disagree with that.
No, I'm not. It's not exactly how I said it.
I mean,
I'm saying right now, Britt Baker is getting the most TV time. Like, right now, you have Stratlander who's out.
That was unfortunate.
Yeah, Britt Baker,
ACL.
Yeah. Britt Baker who's out, but they're putting her on TV. Obviously Nyla Rose is still in the picture. You have some of the other girls who are still Sheeta, who's still obviously the champion. I'm just saying that in this situation, the division still revolves around what the champion is doing. And at this time, Britt Baker's not even wrestling, and she's such an integral part of the show. So I'm not trashing the division. I'm just saying usually the champion of that division should have a little bit more emphasis on what the show's going.
Yeah, but we had months of Sheeta, and Sheeta was on TV last week, so it's not really fair to say, "Hey, the champion's not around." She was there last week,
right? But I'm saying, as far as what did Britt have 3 segments tonight?
Yeah, but
Britt Baker's been the best.
You're just trying to fight me on this
right now.
No, I'm not.
You're just trying to fight me right now. Look. I'm just making a point. I'm just making a point. Britt Baker, over the last few weeks, and I said this is a tribute to her, the work that she's putting in to her character. She's doing an excellent job. She's getting multiple segments, and it's hysterical, and she's doing a great job of getting over. But at the same time, you have other competitors who are very, very good. And this is the one thing that WWE does very, very well compared to AEW. Even though feels like it's the same rotation of 6 women at WWE, it feels like they're finding a way to get those six or seven women involved in an integral part of this story. And right now, I'm seeing a lot of Britt, not as much as the other females, just not Sheeta. You have matches.
We saw Penelope Ford tonight.
Ford has been all over the place. Another favorite of the show, by the way.
Exactly.
Another favorite of the show. And it's going to be very interesting to watch Sheeta versus Ford at Fighter Fest, as you both grin right at me.
You're the bad boy.
Listen, don't look at me. Wayne's always on time and he's always early from what he's saying. The early bird gets the worm. So that's all I'm going to have to say about that. But look, at the same time, I think that division still has to grow a little bit.
No, I mean, listen, I definitely agree. There's definitely growth that needs to be done for sure. There's no doubt about it. So the only difference is you have 6 or 7 women who are constantly on one program. Meanwhile, WWE is using the same 6 women across all brands. It's a big problem. You can't compare that.
Yeah.
That's a huge problem.
It's a conspiracy theory, as Britt would say.
Listen, don't make me get Charlotte up in here, and she'll take over. She's tall and blonde.
I heard that you two were close.
Yeah, we're very close.
Yes.
But anyway, no, but the women's division is going to take time, and the AEW women's division is growing it's improving in some way, shape, or form, and once everybody comes back healthy, it's gonna shape out to what it should be. I'm truly believing that, and then at the same time, they're bringing some new faces on TV too as well. So we'll see what we get out of them. We saw 2 relatively new faces tonight. We had Anna Jay. She was featured as being in action tonight, so here I am thinking that she's gonna get a squash match and get the win, but that certainly was not the case, because we had a new making her first appearance on AEW Dynamite. We had Abaddon. Abaddon comes in, defeats Anna Jay in her debut match on Dynamite. Then we see the Dark Order come out. Evil Uno presents Colt with an envelope. As you guys remember last week, we saw Colt Cabana knocking on the Dark Order's locker room door, and he went in, and we don't know what happened from there. So that was one little thing going on in one segment, which was awesome. And then, I'm thinking maybe it might be an offer from Dark Order finally. Maybe it's like a contract. Who knows what that paper said? While that's happening, you see Dark Order helping out Anna Jay out of the ring. So it looks like Dark Order is aggressively trying to recoup people, as we can see. We see Anna Jay greeted by Brody Lee on her way out, being helped by Dark Order members. What did you guys think of this segment?
I thought it was good. We're talking. So here's the thing: is I've seen Anna Jay, and I've seen what's her name again?
Abaddon.
Abaddon. I gotta remember that because I just remember as the freaky.
It's you can remember it by the word abandon, but without the end.
Yeah.
I'll try to associate it with abandon. But I've seen her wrestle Sheeta on Dark, and
Yes.
that was a good match. So I was familiar as soon as they announced who Anna Jay was facing. I was like, that's weird. This is going to be a weird match. Abaddon is not conventional. She's more in the vein of Mankind when he first got there, with all the blood and it looks like a zombie. I mean, even I like horror, and even she crosses that line for me. It's like, no, it's a little too much. But it was interesting because Abaddon gets the win relatively easily, and immediately the Dark Order come out. They take her away, which is again intriguing, and they give this guy Colt Cabana a contract. So I went online, and Tony Khan says they offered him a contract. So
Dark Order.
Okay,
so I sort of figured that was a contract.
And apparently they'll reveal the details of that contract later on Dynamite, but I don't remember seeing that. That's what Tony Khan wrote on his Twitter. So I'm not sure if maybe I closed my eyes, I missed it.
Yeah, you definitely had your eyes closed on that. So this happens really quick. They didn't have the camera on it for long. Maybe a 5-second transaction? No. It was more like 10 to 20 seconds because they show Colt Cabana looking at the papers. Evil Uno comes up to him with another member of the Dark Order up to Colt Cabana, who's on the outside. Yeah, they present the envelope. He's looking through the papers, and then they cut away. And then they focus back on what was happening with Anna Jay.
No, I saw that from there. Did they give us the details? Because they
didn't give the details, but you hear the commentators trying to figure out what it could be, and they were suspecting that maybe it's a contract of some sorts.
Yeah, because Tony Khan on his Twitter wrote it was a contract, and that they would give us the details of that contract later on tonight. But they
didn't give the details away. That was it for that.
That's the thing I was hung up on, because I'm like, all right, cool, we'll get some clarity later on. Maybe they'll do it online or something, but nothing was said on the show what the contract entailed. Randolph, you may take over. Are you there? I think we lost Randolph.
I think he's pulling a gimmick on us right now.
I think so. He's doing the whole stoic look into the camera.
I'm waiting to see if I think I saw his eye move.
Did you? He looks kind of dead to me. Look at him.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good. It's pretty good. Oh, yep. He was frozen.
Yeah, we lost him.
All right, so we'll think about letting him in. But anyway, moving on. No, he'll come back in. We had Billy Gunn versus MJF. Pretty good match here. Pretty good match here. Through this we see Britt passing more notes during the segment, which we already explained about already. We see Billy Gunn. He gets distracted. Wardlow throws MJF that Dynamite ring. That ring is becoming more useful to MJF ever since MJF won that Dynamite ring. So we see MJF use that ring that Wardlow threw him when the ref's back was turned. MJF wins with the knockout by punching Gunn, giving him a knockout blow to the head with the ring. He gets the pinfall on Gunn. So Billy Gunn is aging pretty well, I must say.
I mean, he's huge.
Minus a couple loss of some hair follicles on his head. He looks pretty good. Moving around okay for his age. I don't think that Billy Gunn was a great tango partner for MJF, though.
No.
It was more storyline than match, in my opinion. This was just like, we're going to showcase it, but was it a good match? Far from it, and especially with what AEW puts out, this isn't a marquee match that I would show my friends to get them into the product. Definitely not.
No, I the other part of that too is Gunn looked like he was wrestling a WWE style in AEW. That's what it felt like, because Gunn had been there with WWE for so long. And I said this in the text, and Wayne made a comment to me about it, and Emma wanted to get your opinion on it. With MJF, he's still very young, very, very young. Great heel, great character. Still needs some polish in the ring.
Nice.
I know. Listen, he had some great matches with Jungle Boy. He looked great against Cody. I actually went back and got to see a little footage of him in MLW.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying he can't work. I'm just saying, obviously, there's still a lot of room for improvement here. And I think being a great heel and being a great worker is, even when you have a situation with a guy like Billy Gunn, where he's not the best dance partner there, and I know you're on TV and time restraints, you just want to try and get a little bit more out of him. The match was what it was. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. It's supposed to help get MJF over. It's supposed to show that he and Warlow are on the same page. He hits him with the ring, everything of that nature. It did everything it was supposed to do. I know that, but right now I'm nitpicking right now. That's I know you guys hate.
That's fine. That's what we're here for.
Exactly.
Yeah, but so we're just nitpicking. I just feel like he needs a little bit more polish if he's going to be a guy who's going to be able to carry guys in the ring.
But like I say every week, and I probably say this ad nauseum, how do you get better? You got to go out there and perform. You have to go out and do it. But the problem is that Billy Gunn, like you said, is a different style. It was nice. It was a nice nostalgic thing to see Billy out there, but he wasn't the best dance partner. But this was never supposed to be a marquee match. It was never supposed to be a match that we will remember. This was just another chicken heel getting the win over a Hall of Famer, and that's what it was. It was just to get
just all the purposes of a rub.
Yep. Yeah, that's all it was,
and that's what it was, and that's fine. I'm sorry for interrupting, but you look at the matches that. Look at the matches that MJF has had. He has not had as much in AEW. He's had some good matches against Jungle Boy, really. And the thing is, though, I look at that too, and Jungle Boy's had some very good matches one-on-one with Cody and some others. He had a great match with Cody, and again, Cody's on with the TNT title and doing all these different things. I can't remember Cody in AEW not having a bad match so far. So I'm just saying that I want to see MJF featured in a situation now where he's be able to carry the guy in the ring, not just Randy, in the story.
One thing you just did, you just compared MJF and Cody. Cody has been wrestling for how long?
You're right. He's 24 years old. He's only been in the business for a couple of years, and he is where he is.
Cody probably started wrestling right around the time MJF was born.
Exactly that, and then he finally left WWE, and he went to Ring of Honor. He went to Japan. He wrestled the Independents. He has the experience. It's hard for him to have a bad match at this point. It looks like he can sleepwalk through a match, and we'd still be into it. So I don't think it's a fair thing for you to go and compare MJF and Cody. Now, I think this is more. A comparison would be more to like early Rock, like we were just talking about. How do you get big? Sometimes you use this first. And we just spoke about this, how The Rock used his mic skills before he was able to carry guys. And it looks to me, at least, because I do see a lot of potential in him. I see a ton of potential in him. He's going to get there. But
without a doubt.
Yeah, he's been on a major promotion for a year. So expect him to start carrying guys a year in is unrealistic, in my opinion. And like I said, you're not going to get better unless you do this. And we had how many months of him not being able to be on the show because of a certain virus we won't mention anymore on this podcast because it's kind of depressing?
3 months.
3 months. So 3 months, that's a year, that's 3 months.
And that terrible hangnail injury.
Yeah, exactly. And shaving. So come on. Cut him some slack, Randy.
Following the match, we see Jurassic Express get into it with Wardlow and MJF on the outside. That leads to a brawl. I guess one could expect that we see the Jurassic Express feuding with Wardlow and MJF, maybe around the time of Fyter Fest. Or maybe next week's Dynamite. It looks like they definitely set something up there. That led to a major brawl with a big pull apart. What did you guys think of this part of the segment before we move on?
It was what it was. It was just setting it up for the Fyter Fest. No more, no less. Was it spectacular? I don't think it was. I mean, it was run of the mill and it accomplished what it needed to accomplish in a timely manner.
Yep, and not only that, but it kept Luchasaurus is a very big fan favorite. It keeps him part of the show, keeps him involved, puts him involved in a story. Sometimes you just need things for guys to do on the roster, and I think this is exactly what that is.
Oh yeah.
Moving on, we had Cody and the TNT title open challenge. So we knew they made news. They alluded to the fact that anybody, even outside of the promotion, could come in and challenge for the TNT title, which I thought was pretty interesting. So I'm wondering if we get some former WWE superstars to answer that challenge eventually, which I think we will. Say maybe in about 30 days more, maybe. But moving on, we had Cody defending the TNT title against Ricky Starks. So Ricky Starks is from NWA, former television champion. He says that he is the hottest free agent right now. Who knows? We might see more of him on the roster going forward. A little bit more about him. He competed in Japan, Mexico, North America, held titles all over the world. So he basically lived up to his reputation tonight, but in a losing effort. But he wrestled a great match for Cody, back and forth. He looks relatively young, probably in his mid-20s. I don't really know too much about him outside of what I just said. But what did you guys think of this match tonight? I thought we had a pretty good TNT Open Challenge tonight.
My only complaint was that Arn Anderson knew who Cody was facing before Cody did. And part of the mystique about the open challenge is that we can have a couple of matches scheduled ahead of time, but I want to see some. Remember, and I hate myself and remember that I'm dying inside saying this, and I never thought I would say something like this, but remember when Cena did this? God, that like burnt my soul.
It was great.
Yeah, I'll digress. Anyway, remember when Cena did this?
Those were some of John Cena's best matches.
Oh God, why do you guys do this to me? I'm in
go on, complete your thought.
Position, but he didn't know who he was going to face. He just said, "Hey, come on out," and they came out and they had a great match. I'm expecting more of that. Although I don't mind knowing ahead of time who is going to come. Like we had Mark Quinn. And we had who do we have in the beginning?
Oh,
it was Jungle Boy and then Mark Quinn.
Yes,
I have no problem.
The third week.
Yeah, so this is the third week, and we get Ricky. What is it? Ricky Stark.
Yep, Ricky Starks.
And we have Arn Anderson sitting there going, "Hey, I know this guy, and this is going to be the greatest thing for you," and blah blah blah. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why do you know who he's going to face? So that really threw me off a little bit. But the fact that it was a surprise to us kind of saved it because I popped. and I don't even know who Ricky Starks is. I had to look him up. My son knew him, and he was going nuts. He was like, "Oh my God, this NWA guy, and he's a free agent." And I was like, "All right, cool. Like, I'm gonna have to look this up." Apparently, he was the inaugural TV champion in NWA. So
this must have had to been dating back to the middle of last year.
Yeah,
when
so
NWA started.
Yeah, so he finished his stint during the pandemic, and so he's a free agent now, and that to me is really cool. This is the a couple of free agents we've seen. We saw with Alex Cobb, and Cody said, "Hey, this is going to happen," and this is what I've been waiting for. I think I mentioned it last week. I want to see guys from outside, maybe Marty Skrull, come and just come in and challenge for this belt.
Marty, if you're listening to us, we want to see you on TV against Cody Rhodes. We
Yeah.
know you'll be listening. So
listen, I was heartbroken when Marty re-signed with ROH, but this gives me hope that I will see him in an AEW ring. He showed up on Being the Elite a couple of weeks ago. I have hope. So I was really excited with this match, and to me, the match was good. I enjoyed it. There were a couple of spots that were a little slippery, but again, I can deal with it. I wasn't going to nitpick this one. I was really just marking out. Honestly, I was like, "Wow, this is so awesome!" Like somebody from outside. So
one of the things I liked about it was different, and I hate to say it's just I think we get conditioned sometimes to be disappointed when they say someone from the outside or something like that. I agree with you. I still have a very hard time with Arn Anderson fitting in with Cody Rhodes.
It was booked weird. I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah. Well, not even the thing being booked weird, just him being involved. I would much rather. I know Brandy's wrestling a little bit too. I know she was recently on Dark and wrestling and stuff like that. I would prefer it just be if Cody doesn't come out with Brandy. I'd rather him just come out alone. That's really my only complaint.
We know they're married already. We don't need to see them out together all the time.
Right. So I think my big thing with this was it was a fun match. Like M says, AEW is going to introduce us to some guys who are only going to be here for a cup of coffee and then disappear. But you know what, though? By doing that process, you might be finding some very hidden talent that's in NWA, that's in New Japan, that's in, Ring of Honor. And like you guys have said about Marty, Marty's got some clout where if he wanted to make an appearance here and there, he can definitely do that. But but as far as the match is concerned, this was a match where you just want to sit back and watch. And dare I say, I know they had some reasonings for putting on Best Friends and Inner Circle at the end, but I actually like the idea of having the TNT Championship closing the show.
Yeah, I mean, it makes the belt seem important.
Yeah, it was a weird placement, honestly. I thought it would close the show, but I think they wanted to shake it up, and I have no problem with that. Put it in the middle of the show, put it in the beginning of the show. Keep me guessing as to when it's going to happen. I have no problem with that.
So we see Cody defeat Starks with the Crossroads in a pretty good match. And we'll see what we get next week. I believe they announced another TNT match. I think this is something he's going to be doing every week.
Yeah.
All of this, which we know is leading to a match between Cody and Hager.
Please no. Please no.
I'm actually looking forward to that match. I think they can work well together.
Come on,
they've worked matches together. I'm sure many times.
Yeah, they came from the same company, but Randy,
they know each other.
You just said how Cody could make anybody look good, who he could work with anybody, and then 2 seconds later you're like, "No, God, no, I don't want to see that."
You know what it is with Hager. It's there's certain guys you're just like, okay, yeah, he was what's his name in WWE, and it like. That stigma goes away with certain things. Hager to me I still look at that Jack Swagger.
Oh, come on. You can't look at him as Jack Swagger. What did Jericho say? That's dead and gone. That was a product of bad creative. He said it, man. You got to listen to him.
No, Emma's right. I do remember that. Yeah, Randy, to be honest, I do. When I see Jake Hager, I still think back to Jack Swagger. I think Hager's been presented a little bit better here so
he's
far.
presented much better. Yeah, he's being presented as a killer, and that's
so right now he's kind of in the process. He's not out yet. But he's in the process of raising himself out of his grave.
He's on his
the
way
grave
back
being WWE, the booking. So he is in the process of digging himself out of that.
His best promo was still with Jericho and the "I am sorry" thing, and Jericho couldn't say "I'm sorry," and he's like, "Sorry, sorry."
I enjoyed that.
Moving on, we have the Young Bucks versus the Superbad Squad with Penelope Ford. We see Butcher and the Blade interfering, allowing Jimmy Havoc to hit Matt Jackson. I believe I got the right Jackson, right? Matt Jackson with a wet floor sign, which I thought was pretty funny. Nick Jackson looks great coming off the hot tag tonight. He looked absolutely phenomenal. He was just corner to corner to the top rope with a dive onto the outside, onto the stage. We saw that little spot. So that was pretty cool. I feel like we haven't gotten Young Bucks in the match in a few weeks. But this was pretty cool. And then we see the Bucks get the win. And then comes Butcher and the Blade, jumping the Young Bucks from behind once again. And then the FTR, who was already outside in ringside. They had appeared during a commercial break. So FTR comes to the save. So basically, we see a 4-on-4 here. It looks like they may be setting up a match with the Young Bucks and FTR versus, I would say, Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc, whom was already out there, and Butcher and the Blade. What do you guys think of this?
I think that's exactly where they're headed. They're going to drag this out. We're going to get, and I'm calling it. We're going to get
8 of them. I don't think they have a match for Fighter Fest, so they might very well do it then.
Yeah, I
or
think
next week.
Maybe next week, but I hope they hold off to Fighter Fest. But I honestly think that we're gonna get FTR and Young Bucks maybe at All Out, or personally, I think they should draw it out a little longer.
Yes,
let it be this whole mutual respect thing, and then I say it. FTR has to have these belts. They are a amazing tag team. They are not the same style as the Young Bucks, but they're on the same level. And that's saying a lot, because the Young Bucks are one of the greatest tag teams out there in this day and age. So I think they have to clash at some point, and I'm going to lose my mind watching it. And I'm going to pop big time when that does take place.
Listen, anytime the Young Bucks are in the ring, I'm usually watching, and I'm enjoying the match. Sabian and Havoc are a fun team, but they feel like they're like the I don't want to say the jobber team, but they're the team that they're sort of being thrown out there as the victims to. And look, I like FTR. We praised them so much on this show already on how them versus the Bucks is going to be awesome. I personally like to see that match get pushed out a little bit longer.
Yes, I agree. November.
Yeah, I think that's
I want to see FTR in more matches.
The thing is, though, they're still working out their contract situation. They're working on a handshake deal. They want to get a long-term deal. It's not that they're not going to get the deal done. It's just
when.
I think, it's just when. And I think you want to make sure they're solidified in before you give them the belts and you say that this is the team we're going to back. Make the commitment to the company so the company can make the commitment to you.
Definitely.
And I think that's what we're working on here. And they're teasing it, which is awesome. And I think that the Young Bucks and the FTR can just be able to tear the house down. And not only that with the Bucks, but I'm looking to see them against the Lucha Brothers and start looking at them. You know what I mean? Like, give us this.
I want to see FTR in a few matches. I want to see them not necessarily go through every single tag team, but I want to see them go through a couple tag teams before getting to the Young Bucks.
Yeah, definitely.
Got to get that build going.
And not only that, and I'm glad that the Butcher and the Blade are getting some airtime and getting involved with this tier.
They're great,
but they're great. But at the same time, they've lost so much steam where they too need a little bit of a rub and a little bit of a push here to keep their value high. And I feel right now they're being used as pawns, just like Havoc and Sabian in this whole entire situation. Look, you have a very deep tag team division. You have Private Party, who's not even wrestling consistently on Dynamite. I know they're just getting back into the swing of things. They have, the Best Friends. You have,
we'll talk about that later.
You have LAX, I'm sorry, Proud and Powerful,
and NCU, Dark Order.
Yeah, you have Proud and Powerful, who have not even on the show tonight. So there are a lot of tag teams here, and
it's the best tag team division in the business right now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But my big thing right now is you have to make sure if you're using these tag teams in a way that's going to be their strength. And I feel, since we were discussing earlier, since the Butcher and the Blade lost to Cody and Darby Allin, I feel like they've been the victims for everybody else and not having the success they need. And now losing Allie sort of takes away a little bit of their mystique a little bit too.
See, but I think that they'll come back to that. They're not going to let us hang for too long. I think that they'll start gaining momentum. Right now, they're just the fall guys. Unfortunately, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to do the job. They probably drew the short straws, and they gotta go through it. And I never really saw them being major players. I never saw a championship goal in their future. I think I know that one of them is a bassist for a band that Tim likes. So he does that. He does a lot of touring. But he's very dedicated. I'll give him that. I think he even missed a tour date to be at Dynamite taping, which was interesting because I really thought that he was going to, go with his band, that was more important. So there's a lot of dedication to wrestling, and it's really cool. So I think that eventually they'll get back with Allie, and they'll probably start to feud with the Nightmare family. And that's when we'll see them gain a little more momentum. They'll probably beat Nightmare Family on their way up the ladder. Right now, they're on the bottom, unfortunately, and somebody's got to be at the bottom. Hybrid 2 haven't been seen, and they were at the bottom previously. So I think they live out of the country, so we probably won't be seeing them for a little bit. So that's the state that we're in. They got a job for a little bit, and that's probably why we have Havoc and Kip Sabian as a tag team, just to take over Hybrid 2's spot too. But I could be wrong.
This AEW tag team division is very stacked, and when it's too stacked, then you run into an issue where, well, these guys are the bottom tag team with the worst record, but they're so good, and they should be on top. But you could say that for 5 other tag teams in that division. You can't have everybody all at the top. There's only one team that can have those titles right now, which is why they'll probably introduce the 6-man tag titles eventually that we can suspect. But this is a good problem to have, though. The tag team divisions in other federations are, they're lucky if they have 3 tag teams in each brand right now.
Yeah, the tag team division.
On one brand, you only see 2 tag teams going at every single week in some kind of shenanigan contest. Same thing in the other brand. You get at best just 3 or 4 tag teams. Very thin.
Didn't we get a cinematic match? Those matches that I absolutely love so much.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
There was a cinematic match.
With ninjas. Listen, I love ninjas. But not
and a 7-foot ninja showed up too.
Exactly. Well.
So he was on Raw too as well.
Next topic, please.
But you don't get my drift though. The AEW tag team division is very deep.
Yeah.
So that's a good problem to have. They just gotta, just make every tag team feel important.
Yeah.
There's a way you could do that. Wins help, but just make them important. I think for a while, Butcher and the Blade were getting momentum, and then the tag team division kept on growing and growing and growing. And Best Friends started getting momentum.
They were there the whole time during the quarantine, so
Yeah, that definitely helps. Being present in the moment definitely helps.
But one of the things I noticed before we go on to the next match was that even though they lost to FTR last week, they still look strong. It's not like
that part of it, yes.
world, and that's one of the things I enjoy about AEW is that they try to make everybody look strong, even though we know, like I say every week, we know they're about to lose, but they didn't lose horribly.
It was a great match. It was a good contest. I feel like it went to a better part of 15 to 20 minutes nonstop, which was awesome.
So you can always look at it like, hey, it's a cold streak, like it's not our time right now.
Before we continue on to the main event and talk about the tag team division, any of you guys, just wanted to remind you to follow us on Google, iTunes, and Spotify. If you can't watch, just a reminder that we are available on all those platforms. We'd like to thank you guys. Also, a rub to Backsports page. You can also find our content on there, along with other sports talk and interviews and the latest news and M from Level 1 Games. If you have any video game questions, recommendations, M is your guy. And we do have to talk about I got to figure out if I want to get the new Xbox X Series or the new PS5.
I'm with the X Series, so.
Okay. I honestly don't even know. Honestly, I think my decision is going to be how many of the most people buy. Like, if I know more people buying PS5 than the Xbox out of like the group of friends, then that might very well help me make my choice there. So we'll have to see how that goes. But you can also follow us on Twitter at Deep Six Pro Wrestling Podcast at Deep6W. You can follow us there also on our Facebook page, Deep Six Pro Wrestling Podcasts. And moving on, we got the main event. Kind of continuing along with the talks of the tag division. Our main event tonight is Best Friends versus Jericho and Sammy Guevara in our number one contender match for the tag titles. We see the Best Friends get the win here. No mention of Mike Tyson, by the way.
Not yet.
We don't know if there's going to be any kind of progression there. Maybe they'll wait till next week or Fyter Fest. They could very well be building the All Out, so it might be a slow burn over the next couple of weeks as far as that goes. But after the match, we see the cameraman hop onto the ring apron. And then we see that is Orange Cassidy. He looks pretty good from that beatdown that he received last week. Looked like he didn't even have a scratch on him. He attacks Jericho in the ring and knocks him out with the Superman punch. And we see Orange standing tall at the end of the show.
He was angry.
It looks like, he was. He was. There was nothing comedic about him tonight. He was in there. He was very serious. It seems like Orange Cassidy is being featured pretty well now. I stole the joy of life. Did I steal the joy of life, or did them steal the joy of life? That
would be me. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. So, anyway, you see Orange Cassidy being pretty well featured here. I think AEW is reacting to the fact that their ratings are one of the highest, if not the highest, during the parts of the shows where Orange Cassidy is on air. Having said that, why not see what you got with Orange Cassidy in the main event segment? See what he can do.
Yeah, definitely.
And I have a feeling that at the very least he will have a great match with Jericho, and Jericho may very well put him over. What do you guys think?
I think so, but
that match is happening soon.
Oh yeah, that's they announced it for Fyter Fest already. So that's official, and I don't know if you noticed, but the cameraman, he's the one that cost Sammy the match.
That's what I was getting ready to say. I was like,
come on, you're doing this to my boy Sammy. I'm not happy seeing that, but the match was good. It was physical like usual, and it progressed the storyline with the Best Friends and Inner Circle, which was good. Obviously, I didn't like Sammy taking the fall, but somebody's got to take the fall, and it wasn't going to be Jericho. Then if he did, then the match between him and Orange wouldn't be as exciting. But I thought it was good. As soon as he tripped him, I'm like, that's Orange Cassidy with the camera, man. I saw that from a mile away. I was like, oh, come on, man. So I liked it. It was enjoyable. And it was a good way to finish off the match. I like how Jericho, he cowered away from Orange, and Orange just pounded him right in the face. So it was good. It really put him over.
I liked it too, and you were waiting for like that spot where Jericho or Sammy were both in the ring, and everyone's just waiting for Cassidy at some point because you knew he was not just gonna sit around doing nothing. And the cameraman spot was cool. It was original. And I don't want to say original, but it's something I haven't seen. It's something I haven't seen in a long time, and it was fun. And one of the things that you just said before too, with it was him costing them the match. I really like the character of Cassidy and his nonchalantness, and like Keith Elliot Greenberg said on my show, that Cassidy is that character. He tries to very rarely break character when he's not doing, out in public and stuff like that. And him and versus Jericho, it makes sense because if you look at their stars, Cassidy is one of the most popular guys, and he doesn't even go into the ring. He doesn't really say much. I remember, if you guys remember, during Double or Nothing, they had the whole ladder match, and he's like, "How do I win this thing? You got to go up the ladder," and he just felt so depressed because he had to go do work. He stood on top of the ladder. It was laying flat. He's an over character, and what do you do with an over character? You put it with one of your best heels, and I think Jericho has gotten to the point, and this is where and I will probably disagree on this, but I think Jericho is now at a point where he does not need that championship belt to be relevant. He is a big enough star and a big enough draw where he can go into a feud with somebody and not have the belt be a major priority.
See, Randy, you disappoint me. I thought you were going to give me something to disagree about. And then you give me that, and it's like, God, I gotta agree with you, man. I'm upset now. What are you doing to me, man? Like I was really looking forward to like battling with words. I was like, yes, I'm unsheathing my sword, and here you are saying something that makes sense. Come on, Randy. No, I totally agree. I mean, Jericho doesn't need a title at the moment, and any rivalry that he has, he elevates to the next level. And this is another one, man. We're having a marquee match with Orange Cassidy and Jericho, no title involved, and that's happening when at Fyter Fest, when every title is being defended, and that's what they're advertising the most is, hey, every title is being defended, and what is on there? Orange Cassidy and Jericho. So it's something that the people want to see, man.
It goes to show there's depth on this roster.
Yeah, definitely.
You don't have to have Jericho in a title match, and this is helping elevate Orange Cassidy, which is awesome.
Exactly, and
this is good. We did. Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't talk on one thing. I particularly cared. I particularly don't care to spend too much time on it at all. But just to throw it out there, what did you guys think of the Brian Cage, John Moxley promos before we go off the air tonight?
Oh, me, right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. You look like you wanted to take over. I'll
go take over. Taz and Moxley's promos were great. Cage sounded terrible. I
wouldn't go that.
I wouldn't go that far. I've heard better.
Yeah,
I've heard better. I wouldn't say it was like really bad. It was okay.
I think Taz speaking and Cage just shaking his head. Yes, is in this situation is probably the right call.
No, see, now you give me something, Randy. I totally disagree because the thing is that Cage can speak. All right, he can't speak like Taz, but few can speak like Taz.
Yeah, but you're missing the big picture here, though. First off, Moxley's promo was awesome.
And Moxley's Moxley.
Well, the thing is, though, you still have to give credit where credit is due. Moxley's promo was awesome. You know what it is? Cage can talk, But the problem is when you're with a great talker with Taz, and I think that's where my problem is.
Exactly.
You have filet mignon over here, and you're sitting there saying, "Yeah, let's go with the sandwich steaks over here too."
But you got to look at it like an actual meal. All right, you got the steak, and then you have the mashed potatoes. All right, do you not eat the mashed potatoes because they're lesser, in your opinion, than the steak? No, you eat both, right? That's your whole meal, and that's what this is.
You have George Clinton over here, and you have the Funkadactyls or Funkadelics over here.
Wait, George one of the. You're killing me, man. Next thing you're gonna, we have Dave Matthews over here, and a truly great
No. Listen, I purposely went with George Clinton.
I'm sure you did.
But I'm just saying, if you know that Taz is right now cutting all these great promos, just let him do it. You know,
he's
what I mean?
He's like the MVP of Raw right now.
Yeah. Well, it's just like Paul Heyman with Lesnar. You don't need Lesnar to talk. You just need Paul Heyman to talk for you.
But this is not Paul Heyman, and this is not Lesnar. This guy can speak. Lesnar can't. Lesnar, please don't beat me up. Like I'm a chicken shit heel, so I don't fight.
I just remember though. If you back in WWE when Lesnar first came back and Heyman was not with him, and Laurinaitis was with him, Brock went back to Vince and he said, "You should never put a microphone in my hand, never bring it again."
That I totally agree with it. You don't want to put a microphone in front of Lesnar and go, "Hey, cut a promo." But this is not Lesnar. The guy can speak. He just can't speak on the level of Taz. Let him learn from Taz. Let him start to spread his wings a little. I don't think we should shut him up completely, though.
Right. Well, that's fine. It's like,
he's got to learn. Like I said, you got to go out there and do it.
You learn by doing, my friend. You learn by doing.
Alrighty, guys. Well, listen, that about closes it for tonight. There's really nothing much to cover. We've covered it all. This has been a pretty long week doing shows 4 of the last 5 days. But that's what happens on pay-per-view weeks. And we do it for you guys, for you fans that are watching and that are listening. It's all for you. It's not for us. It's for you.
It's a little for me.
I was about to say it's a little bit for me. But anyway, those of you that are watching, we want to thank you so much for hopping on tonight. The couple of you guys that were on, for those who are about to listen, make sure you follow us on our podcast. But most importantly, make sure you follow us, like and subscribe to our YouTube channels, because you will have instant access to our live post shows, our prediction shows, right at the drop of a dime. And you won't have to wait for the podcasts to come out. If you are that anxious, that is. But we try to bring you the best content that we possibly can. And Em and Randy, thank you so much for hopping on tonight. You guys are awesome as always. Love you guys. And yes. So to those watching and listening, we will be back Monday night with a post show with Jay, Cooper, Pern Dog, and we'll be back here, Randy, next Wednesday or Thursday, depending on how the week lays out. And well, to everybody, you guys. Yes, okay. Am I shouting? I'm reading our comment thread on our YouTube that we have, private thread. Shout out to Level 1 Games, of course. Make sure you hit M up. And Randy from Backsportspage. Also, special thank you to Living the Gimmick Podcast that allows us to post our content on their podcast page, which is awesome. They want to see us grow. We want to thank you guys so much for that. And well, that's enough. I'm getting a little long-winded here. To those of you watching and listening, thank you so much and have a great night.